Well, collective, it's officially September 23rd, 2024. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So, this episode, I'm calling it episode S28. And this is mainly for an individual. So recently I sent out some letters to people that I have observed and made my capacity as an earth angel known to them, and try to be as transparent as I can without being overly scaring them away with my energy, because sometimes that happens, and it would happen a lot in the beginning. But recently I sent out just letters, some of them typed, some of them handwritten, but like I've said before, I have this thing with writing letters by hand, and even typing them up, it just seems like a big deal these days, because it's my way of showing those individuals that I value their time, I value their energy, I value their soul, I value them as a person, as an individual, and but mostly that I see their light, and I see, and I just not see, I feel, their light, their good energy that's always there, and that's everyone. Like, we're born that way. Like, I don't believe anybody is ever born evil. So when there's parents out there saying my baby is a demon baby and stuff like that, like, it's really like, I know it's a joke, but when it comes to words and energy and spelling things out, I'm not for it. That's just what it is. But I'm not out there trying to, I'm just not around people like that, anymore. So it just is what it is. Because I, have been able to bring out, light in others, even those that are just looking like, a hot mess. But I mean, those are usually the ones that I've said before, like, they make, the greatest leaders, because they're strong spirits that just need, other strong spirits to help guide them, but, and just really fall in love with their journey and their process, they use, and that has a lot to do with psychology. So this is, dedicated to the one that knows, that's doing whatever they need to do to fulfill a role in the psychological fitness domain. And so hopefully this individual goes and looks and listens actively to a lot of my other content, which was another reason why I started with the announcements, and kind of how I want the channel to go, because now it's come to the point where the recruiting part of this is coming in. And so, I mean, these people all have choices. Like, I'm not saying anyone I'm talking about will specifically get those positions, but when I do have them on, I mention, because I give them a certain code and a set of instructions, and then I'll make the episode, and unless they're just the ones out there just trying to cause trouble, and they just they make themselves an example, and I try to do the best I can with it, and still try to put their light let their light kind of come through. But a lot, these next 2 episodes are going to be, you know, how I go about, I don't want to say hiring, because it's not really that, but I'm going to call it and then say the domain, you know, in EH being energy hiring. So I could go EI in energy investing, but is like kind of like, you know, people like so it kind of fits in a way. And just using hiring, you know, it's, I guess, my way of helping reset how we, you know, do hiring. And the way I do it is it's so it's very unorthodox, and it's different. I mean, I've seen others that have done this, and there's certain industries that do it, you know, this way, but it's like there's kind of a little bit of an exploiting energy that kind of comes through with the way that they add the exploitation and other things in there, and, you know, and then it becomes some, you know, neg abuse, you know, situation. And that has to do a lot with, you know, the psych domain. And so that's not how I do it. You know, a lot of it's energy reading first, and I'll get that in the downloads, and then there's just some, you know, that come across that are, you know, originally there was a male, an older gentleman that I, you know, thought would be a better, like a good fit for my first, you know, psych domain. But you know, he's retired and out there trying to live his best life, and you know, just do that old man kind of single bachelor elderly man kind of thing, and kind of just chase women and whatever, you know, he does, and that's his thing. I mean, he's actually a really good soul, but there's just a certain energy there that I don't, it just doesn't quite work out that. And I, you know, I'm looking more for like experience and legacies, or those that I know that have that light in them to build legacies, and, you know, they're not super distracted by a lot of other things. And but the funny thing is, in the spiritual domain, there's a little bit of that happens, so I have a lot more discernment to use in that one. I mean, I use it across all of it, but the psych domain, though, you know, the thing I liked about this, you know, well, I still like these things about this individual, is that they're just, this individual is an active listener, you know, and it's funny how you know, my twin flame and I, which is, you know, my spouse, that's how we, you know, communicate on a lot of things. And so there are, you know, times where a lot of it in the beginning, like just how I said I wanted certain subscribers, which, you know, that happened. I did the same thing, you know, when it came to when I would get to the recruiting part. So, you know, I pray to God and say, God, when it comes to the recruiting part, please just send me, or, you know, put the right people in my path. And, you know, usually that happens a lot. I usually get the right people in my path all the time. So, and it gets stronger and stronger, you know. just about every day. And so it's, but this individual, though, the fact that, you know, they're going through a transition period, and, you know, I was kind of just sitting out, in a place that I frequent at, and that individual was, on their break, and kind of just came around and was talking to me about, you know, some things I talked about in a previous month to them about how people try to use and abuse energy, and there's just certain people that give you these certain feelings, you know, and you know, the individual was like, I get what you were saying, and you know, I didn't ask what experience they had or, you know, all that, but you know, I'd mentioned that I would do, you know, card readings, and that individual was like, maybe you can read my cards sometime, but you know, to let that individual know, because mainly this video is just to let them know like all the things I wanted to put in that letter, but also leave a door open, or a couple doors with good intentions open for them, and we'll, you know, go from there, and asking them to just trust the process, you know, a little bit, as I'm also going through a transition, so be understanding of that. But this video is mainly, it is like, you know, a reading, but I'm not using cards for it. I'm using, you know, I'm utilizing, and you know, the energy that I had already experienced with you, and you know, and what I've observed, you know, and I wasn't out there really looking, but there are just certain things that you did that, you know, just stood out, and it was before you even said anything about transitioning over to doing psychology, but you know, I've done a lot of work in that domain, and there will be things that you're going to learn in college that a lot of things in college are just really just to give you like a lot of the cliff notes, but there's some that try to really make the more specific classes for, you know, the specific, you know, degree, so like your psych and your social, you know, all those other classes, and however they do it now, because it's changed. But there's just a lot of things going on with, you know, the AI and psych, and like artificial intelligence and psych, and you know, I've done a lot of work in those things to really just you know, using my spiritual gifts to help, you know, alleviate some of those stresses. So I just encourage you to, you know, kind of make the links between what you're learning and how they're using it to transition it to AI, and that's why I'm big about really getting people to understand that you're, you know, advanced intelligence and not artificial intelligence. And you know, in the next episode I'll talk kind of about how I had that encounter with someone that I was interviewing for the spiritual domain. But it's psychology is a lot, and there's a lot of different things. There's therapists and counselors, but then you can go, I encourage you to go private, you know, do private practice, you know, after you you know, get out. Don't get stuck in the like once you get all your, you know, you know, qualifications and stuff like that out of the way, and get your degree, I encourage you to try to go the entrepreneur or the private route, or kind of, you know, when you get if you get an internship, try to find more of a private practice internship, and focus your energy in that, just because you don't want to get intermingled with the wargaming of the more general realm of it. And try not to be so super specific about it, just because there's so much that's changing that, I had a debate on whether or not I even wanted to, talk about some of it, but ultimately just know that a lot of what I've talked about on my channel is, being, above the situation. And so that's a lot of what you'll experience, when you finally do get, your first clients and all that, is because there's a lot of different methods, a lot of different things you're going to learn, and it's all good to learn those things. I'm not against learning, the basics, because obviously it's something you haven't really dealt with. But I mean, this is something that I've studied and I've done work in since I was like 15, and so there's a few different capacities of responsibility that, and doing the work I do in, quantum mechanics and things of that nature. So yeah, I just know that when you sit down, with your clients, a lot of it's just energy, because thoughts create energy, and I don't know for sure if they're going to teach you that in your classes, but I will say that the best you can do for yourself and for your clients is really clearing and learning about chakras, because it's really going to start going into more spiritual, like there's a lot of, they call it holistic and semantic therapy. So that's more of a lot of the energy working kind of stuff, that I can relate it to, to kind of help you out with something you can kind of do on the side and on top of your studies, because I don't really know how they, every university is different, but there's, obviously they all have their ways and how they do that, and that's them. Professors are different, so I'm not trying to really project on this, but these are just things that I know, and things that I have used to help me get through a lot of my things, because I didn't really have a lot of help with that, because everything is an inside job with yourself, your SS, your secret service. I mean, your soul and your spirit. I mean, that's what it all really is. So, but there are people out there that they feel like they need to spend money and time with somebody, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I encourage that, because that's usually the first step, is recognizing and admitting, and that's not for just people that are on drugs or alcohol. I mean, there's all kinds of different addictions in this country, and others, but mainly in the US, there's just, addiction is not just what the usual things. There's so much more to it, and they don't get talked about enough, and they end up leading to the other ones, and that's it's sad, because there's so many points that you can divert, kind of help guide individuals away from becoming the more societal norm addicts. And but most of all, when you do your own work, your own self-inner work, and like I said, they probably won't teach you that in college, but I hope they do. I would feel like some of my stuff's already caught on in there somewhere, and some of my other work that I've done, but but doing your own inner work and energy, having something to clear your energy after your day or in the middle of your day, and constantly just trying to cleanse your chakras, because listening to some people will a big old grass, everything looks unnatural. Those words are coming out, and you have to know how to protect yourself in those situations, and really stand and be in control, of your own, and be responsible for your own energy, so doing your own inner work will help you a lot with that. And back whenever I was studying it, this was like when I was 15, and then again somewhere in my early 20s I kind of picked it up a little bit, and then recently in my 30s I started making changes in it, so I wasn't great at protecting my energy, and I would just kind of listen and be there for people, and it all worked out in my favor, eventually, but I was unaware of, the bigger responsibility of protecting myself. And so that was something, my twin flame, my spouse, taught me more to protect myself, but and even my higher version of myself, I had to learn, but when I did, when I knew, I grew. And now I get to speak it to you, But yeah, the best thing you do is just have a mindset of everything's situational. Not everything is a one size fits all. And a lot of things might sound the same, but there are things like generational curses and karma, and a lot of those things that people deal with, that cause their mental health to deteriorate. And coming from a very resilient individual like myself, even though I was going through some things, I didn't let what everyone else was saying around me get to me. And so I was always above the situation. I'm always above the situation, so that's a mindset, and the goal is to assist the other individual, your client, to get their mentality and their mindsets to, and say the words a certain way. You can even say it the same way I'm saying it, is, get their minds from being stuck in the situation to be above the situation, because that's how we're all created. We're created to be above a situation. And so, as above, so below. But, the matrix energy does those things. So people aren't really, in touch with their heart space. It causes, it just makes things a little more complicated. But, there are a lot of things that are changing, and there's a lot of things that'll change, as you're going through college. And, I just want to say that, I'm very proud of you for, choosing that path. And I really hope that you'll stick with it, and I know you will. And I do encourage you to, continue to, I in those, things that I made you, I wrote what I wrote, because usually some people change their name through there, so I was like, I'll just write it like this. But that's how I already see you in your light, and that's why I've done and said what I done and said. in these past like 48 hours, just because, I do see you as a very special individual, and you do have a very amazing light, and you do seem to have the ability to compartmentalize, and so I feel like you'll do really great, in the psychology, fitness domain, and so I definitely wanted to just let you know that I had a better way to write it in the letter, but obviously I don't know your work schedule, so so I didn't. I just kind of tried to keep it as sweet as and simple as I could, But it was mainly just so you have that to look at, and just as a reminder, that there is somebody that does care, about your growth, and that is a big thing, because there aren't, a lot of people that I came across that cared, about my growth. There was a lot that try to pretend, and that caused some issues, but ultimately being a seer, I was able to see right through a lot of their BS, and that was very frustrating and heartbreaking, because I really do love with my whole heart, and I really do love unconditionally, and I mean, I put a lot of good energy, and invest that into people, and just into their souls, because I have those kinds of gifts, and I'm very grateful for them, and I do not abuse them. So I'm very big about consent and all these other things, and sometimes there's weird areas where that it kind of frustrates me, where I'm like, where was there's consent with that conversation? So like, I'm like really big about that, and trying to really just let people know that, like, I do hear them, and I do see them, but I see a lot, I see through them, and that can be scary for some, but there are some that are just they're okay with that, and but I don't take it too far, and then abuse that. And so that's another thing, is just being careful, and I feel like the legal part of your college journey, that would be one that would be a main focus, because once you know your legalities, you can really start creating things different, because like I said, with all the tech and all the AI and all the things coming out, and just how that stuff's already affecting individuals in their brainwaves, it's it's important to know the legal parts of it, because you don't want to be in one of those positions where you learn the hard way or something like that, and so yeah, main takeaway is just the goal is always to help and assist the individual to get their mindsets where they are above the situation and not stuck in the situation. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, and so I talk about that in a lot of my other episodes, but yeah, this is a lot better than what I could have done for you, reading cards for you. That's for sure. But yeah, it's all gonna work out great for you. I know that. If you I don't know what your YouTube handle is or whatever, but or if you plan on, returning at any point to come in and see your, the people that you worked with or whatever, or the people that you were around, then, you can give me your email or whatever. I was going to try to get it today, but I had other things I needed to do, and then, I was like, well, if it's, if it's meant to be, it'll be, and it'll come in, but yeah, it's, just know that there are certain things and certain ways, because I did, spend some time, around your energy, and we did have conversations, so there's some energetic cord, in there, between us, but it's a good one, and there's a lot of protection that comes with that, but I also wanted to make this episode so you knew that, at any time you're going through your journey and you feel like you just, you just kind of need that person to kind of help you, sift through the details, of a situation, you can reach out, on here and on this specific episode, and I advise that you, if any part of your name is in, your YouTube handle, encourage you to probably change that around a little bit, just for your own protection, but, just in the comment, put something that, obviously only I would really know, or, this is, use some of the code, that I wrote in that letter, that way I know, and, you don't have to write out the whole letter, just, a part of it, and I'll know, because I do take pictures of those letters, so I have them as my copy, but yeah, so that's also what this is, and, I can tell you when I got into, going through a lot of the psych domain, like I said, I started out when I was like 15, it was probably before that, but I really started getting a passion for it when I was 15, and it didn't ever really go away, but I know that once I went through my spiritual awakening, it became a big part of that, because the spiritual and the psych go a lot in hand, which is why the heart chakra and having that very clear and leading with it is very important, in my experience, because I've been doing it my whole doggone life, so just speaking from experience. I almost just forgot what I was going to say. Darn. Well, I'll go back to the other thing I was saying, just, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, you don't have to say it out loud in front of anybody, but, you be careful with your nuggets when you're, especially in the psych domain, because I feel like there's some classes that will, kind of touch a little bit on, how people manipulate people's minds, and you would not be surprised that, there are actual court cases that, talk about people using mind control and things of that nature. Like, that's not just something that's on TV. Like, there are actual cases out there that those things happen. They're not talked about often because too many people make a lot of money off of doing dumb stuff like that. But there are, there's certain classes, and you're going to see it, because you're a very intelligent individual. So I know you'll definitely see right through some of the BS of some of those classes. But just you still have to go through it, and that's just what it is, unless you can test out of it, and that'd be even better for you, so you don't have to go through it all. So if that happens and you find yourself in that position, I mean, take that opportunity. Like, because you don't always, I mean, there's all these different things you can do. I mean, I tested out a lot of my classes, but because I wasn't going to deal with the mind manipulation games, because there's certain ones that kind of bring it up. Like, even when I was in high school, I took psychology, and even though I was in high school, there were still certain things. My very eccentric teacher was teaching and talking about that kind of, we'll just say that there were peers of mine that were trying to use some of those tactics against one another, and they kind of were trying to make a game out of it. I wasn't fond of that, but if it happened in high school, just know that there were just certain things, just being involved with that energy, I mean, you're involved with it every day, but just in college, there's going to be certain classes that bring a certain vibe, and so just pay attention to the vibes, and people that try to come around, and I know you'll, pick up on them trying to, manipulate your energy, and that's not something we do. We guide energy, but we do not manipulate energy, and I don't like the word manipulation either, but it's just something that it's just taken some time to phase that word out, but it doesn't show up in my algorithm anymore, but because I've spoke a lot against it, but yeah, it's gonna be different, but I know you have it in you to handle it, because otherwise I wouldn't have done the things I've done and said the things I've said, to encourage your journey in that. Aside from me just feeling like I have a couple of, responsibilities, because I have done a lot of work in the psych domain, so, but yeah, I hope you, subscribe, and, kind of just, you can go back and listen to some of my videos or whatever. They're all listenable. You don't have to, like, I don't show my face in any of them for good reason. It's just my protection. It's what I do for my protection, and I really just want to make things listenable. Like, I originally wanted to do this on a Spotify channel, but there's something about YouTube I like a lot more, so a lot of my content's all just listenable, so you can just play it on while you're driving or whatever, and that was really the main reason. It's just letting it be listenable, because I like listening to things, on the, like, podcasts and such nature, so I tied it in the way that I tied it in. But overall, though, you have those two little things that I made you, but, just in your own little way, call yourself, start speaking out that, you're a doctor, and, you know, whatever part of of that field, you know, you wanted to get a degree in, and say, I'm getting, you know, a PhD, or, you know, however you want to, you know, word that works for you, and whatever you're going for in that, and masters, bachelors, associates, whatever. You know, just, you know, look in the mirror and just say, you know, your name, and say, I'm doctor, say your name, and you know, you know, I have my, like, say I have my, you know, and say the degree, you know, that you're, you know, decided to go for, and, you know, and be specific about it, and, you know, kind of have your mantra, and, you know, you'll, just by doing that, you know, a couple times, you know, it'll help, you know, set off your, you know, rockets of desire. And, you know, it only takes 17 seconds to really manifest any kind of thought. So think of that too when you deal with your clients. Is sometimes these people just kind of maybe walked into a, you know, just a bubble of energy, and those things happen too, like a cloud of it. I mean, I've dealt with that too. Like I can be in a place where there's no people, and literally walk into a space, or walk to a certain part in those spaces, and, you know, pick up on some things, and because it's energy. And, you know, I'm like, well, whoever was standing here at one point was probably having just a horrible day, or a good day, or whatever. It varies, you know, it's not always bad. So just know that those are those weird things that happen that, you know, your clients might not be able to explain. So taking a holistic approach, and you know, more semantic, you know, approach to, you know, that, or and doing more of a private, you know, practice way, you know, start already trying to look for that, and get it all kind of set up and lined out, you know, and that way you can also add that to your mantra, where you know, say, I'm going to do this, and we do this and this. And like, some people are very goal, you know, like this, and this step, and speaking that. But there are some that are just really good at manifesting. Like, I'm one of those master manifester types. So, I mean, I set off rockets, and I set them off super early. Like, I mean, I had them set off before my body even got this soul, and that's just what it is. But that's just because I, you know, have a twin flame, and that's something that's happened over multiple lifetimes. So it really, that part wasn't manifesting, you know, wasn't very hard. It was just me just trying to get everyone else out of my way. And so that's another thing your clients to be going through, is like, some of them might be really into that stuff, but it's like, it's energy. It's all has to do with energy. Everything is energy. And it's kind of those things where the legal department and that kind of talk hasn't always been very copacetic with each other. So that's why I mentioned, you know where you stand in that, and pay attention to that a lot, you know, when you're going through those classes. And then, you know, further it. Don't just go off of what, you know, just what your instructor says, but like, try to find something that resonates with you to help you learn it, because it's all out there. I mean, there's so much in the internet. Like, you know, you say, help me understand this concept, and, you know, come up, you know, you don't be plagiarizing. Like, that's a no-no. But I'm just saying, like, you know, there's a lot out there, and, you know, and then pay attention to, you know, the trends in the AI, and, you know, all that, because it all goes in together. Like, I'd incorporate all this, and I wasn't into tech, you know, and luckily my twin is really good at, you know, she uses more AI than I do, but I also have the gift of automatic writing. So I know how to pretty much code without having to type that out, and that's a very interesting gift to have. But the best way I can relate it is that, God hears all, God sees all, and God knows me, and like all that. So that's how I relate it, and like I had to learn to be okay with it. But a lot of my work has been done just with that gift alone. So that's another thing. Some people have some spiritual gifts they're not quite aware of, and that's kind of some things that cause the chaos. It's like their body and their mind is still trying to like tell them something, but they can't get the signal, and everyone just thinks like, oh, it's all in your head. And it's like, no, your body's picking up things, and it's because it's an all feeling. We're quantum sensors. Like this flesh suit can pick up some signals, but our soul, I mean, it taps into the universe. So I mean, it picks up a lot. So if you're out there, people are out there doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can definitely tell the shady ones from the ones that are just out there trying to be regular living people, just trying to do the right thing, and they're just caught up in just things that don't fit them. But I know in the psych domain you really can't be telling people to, or at least in those, I have a different way that I do it, but I had to create my own legal process, and I had to have a lot of help with that part, because it's not general, because I do it in a private capacity, but I don't have an office where I practice it. I just, there's a different way I do it, but I had to do a lot of work to get to that point. And it took one person to really believe in me, to help me do that. And it was a scary journey, because I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. But, it kind of got that way a little bit, because mine wasn't really, I kind of got the crash course of it, and that's just something that comes with being an initiate. It's different. But I talk about that in some of my episodes too. It's just there's just a lot you can do with a psychology degree, and I mean, you can get into things like in science and tech. Like, I mean, that's mainly what a lot of mine is in. I didn't think I would use it that way. I mean, I really thought I would be the one sitting with people, and but I kind of did that, when I was doing missionary work. I mean, I was already kind of doing it. They call it missionary work, but in a way, you're kind of doing it at some energetic level, and in the spirit. So those are things I know that don't get mentioned a lot, because the college is really there just to teach you it's like getting the cliff notes, but they make you feel like it's not just the cliff notes, and they kind of string it out, and get paid for it and all these things. And it's I'm not a big fan, but all I can really do is just be there, for you. And obviously I sprouted some branches for you, and because I do believe in you. And just like I had one person that believed in me, I've always at least had one, in some kind of environment, but there haven't been a lot. So and only you know what your family life is like, and I didn't want to pry on that, because I didn't want to get too involved, with that. I just wanted to be that person that that has a lot of divine motherly love for you, and is already in love with your process of going through this journey, is already proud of you in a very healthy and balanced way, and I know you do really great. You're gonna do very well. I'm just going to say you're gonna graduate with honors, and you're gonna do great. Like, you're you're gonna, lead your class, you're gonna be a leader amongst your peers, and, that's what I seen in you, with your light. So just know that that's there. So, if you ever have a doubt, because it happens, I would get those sometimes. I had one the other day, and it was so ridiculously silly, and, but those things just kind of come, because it's an energy, it's a thought energy, and it wasn't really even mine. I was just kind of went to the store and came out the store, and something kind of tried to sprout itself up. And so knowing just how energy works really will help you grasp a lot of those, psychology concepts, and, all those things, and get you through it, because I'm telling you, there's so much, but it's from the way that I've seen it, and just because I did a lot of self-learning outside of, school, that I was, that's where I was able to learn and apply a little bit more, but, I was very careful how I did that. But, and then having good intentions, that's another thing, is because it's not ever your job to fix anybody. They have to do that work themselves, and you're really just there to, help guide them in some way, and, that's all you can do. That's what I do with my channel. It's like, I'm not here to fix anybody, but I am here to just kind of give my own experiences, and, they have to do their own inner work, because I can't do that for them. I'm not them. I don't pay their bills, and, but I do have, I send them healing and unconditional love, because it's all I know how to do for them, and a lot of times that works. It really does, just because, that's just my energy, it's my signature, always putting and talking and, leaving, a situation better than what I, first initially, walked into it as, and sometimes there's some that are just like, they match really well, and it's like, great. But then there comes a time where I gotta leave, and so, I feel like our interaction was kind of one of those things. Like, sometimes I'm just in a place to kind of, there's somebody that's gonna, about to get a little emotional with that one. There are actually a lot of times God has sent me to a lot of different locations, and places, I literally sometimes I just wait, and there have been times where I'm like, why am I still here? And, I am the creator of my reality, but a part of that was, an agreement and a contract that, me and my God, had in order before I even came into this flesh suit, but part of it was, just being present as a leader and leading by example, not prying too much, but if there's a big nudge, I would, I do speak good into a situation, and there have been a lot of people I've talked to, where in the location that we met at, where there have been parents that, were talking to their kids about business or their future, going to college or things like that, and just, them saying things like, we want you to, take the good parts of us, with you, and da-da-da-da-da, and, this is not something that parents really say, their parents have to be very secure and not have that ego, because ego will, not get in a big head about yourself is a big part of psychology, and I don't know if they go over that, but that was something that I learned through just pattern recognition and trend and all that, because I seen it destroy so many individuals, and their energy was easier to manipulate. And I seen other people do this, and there were environments where it was just so bad. I was like, I can't be around that. I had to leave, and I was hoping that there was somebody in there that I was there for. But sometimes I just kind of go into a situation. I was really there to kind of observe what was going on with that, because it had a lot to do with the ego. And so trying to navigate that, and then I just have to have faith that I was present, seeing what I needed to see, try to create good thoughts about it, see the light in the situation, and I leave. And sometimes those things were quick. And there's some situations where I would go to a place and there are parents saying certain things that aren't so good, and I sit at the side and I actively listen, and just try to think good thoughts and speak good thoughts into the individual that's taking a spell beating from their parents, or another individual, or a friend's having a conversation that was a hard one, but I mean, overall though, a lot of them they're very beautiful, and they're very brave and courageous conversations, but a lot of them that people don't have. But I'm grateful that I've got to hear a lot of different stories, just by sitting there being present, not really trying to pay any attention, minding my own business. But there are times where I do have to look up and pay attention, and that's kind of one of those spirit guides, God, angels, kind of guiding me, and my own intuition that's like, you need to hear it. And sometimes they bring confirmation for myself, because our thoughts also create our reality. So sometimes those people's conversations were just confirmation, letting me know that my inner work that I did it's now leaking out, and my vibe leaks out to these other individuals, and I get to be blessed enough to be in the presence to hear those conversations. So that's what I do with my energy. But just as much as I do good with mine, that's sort of that same stuff. I mean, it happens, people with negative energy. So just know that. And, I was kind of hoping that, after or before you left, I would have been able to sit down with you and talk with you, but it was raining, and so everything was just kind of divinely guided how it needed to be. But I kind of already sensed something like that, so hence the letter, and I was trying to kind of drop that those hints to you. But it's funny, like, no pressure. And I'm like, well, there was a little bit, because I mean, it started raining, and I'm like, what am I gonna do, and the rain was kind of on and off today, and I was just kind of laughing, because I'm like, that's so funny, he said it, but the bariatric pressure definitely was a thing. But just making them raindrops fall, it's pretty funny. But yeah, so that's really all I have. I mean, like I said, there's a lot you can learn from a lot of my previous episodes, and it all in some way ties in with the degree you're going for. And so also know that if you're okay with it, there are people I know and things that I can do to help you move along with your journey in a certain way, because there are just some people that I see that they just like I said, that a lot of people will follow the narrative to the T, in the process to the T. But there are some that have the ability, like yourself, to test out in some ways to get past certain things, and you'll know when they are happening. And there's there are some people that I work with that they kind of that are my legal people that kind of help with that. So just know that there's more than one option. And that's the beauty in life, is you don't always have to follow everyone else's path. And they choose to go down that way because they feel like it's safe. But there's sometimes, I don't want to say risk, but it's like sometimes you kind of take a little bit of the exponential route, not the linear route. And, I'm a big, a lot of my life has been exponential growth, up until more recently, and it's finally starting to feel like how it was supposed to feel, like when I was a child. Everything just, that's how it kind of feels. I'm grateful to have a spouse and a partner, that tries to take care of me the best that she can, while still taking care of some other things. And so that's God ordained, and I knew that. And I'm grateful for her every day. And so I would say, if you wanted to be in a relationship with someone while you're going through this journey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But you get to choose, and I don't know if you're in one right now, but I'm just saying, just be very conscious of your choices, because there is a lot. And when you start planting new seeds, and you start changing your program, which would be anytime you're going to a new learning environment or something, or you choose to learn something new, you're planting new seeds. So, and sometimes you can pivot. I mean, I pivot all the time, but I'm very consistent in my planting. I'm a very good gardener in a lot of different ways. But, it'll start kind of creating some situations in your environment, and then sometimes your own skeletons will start coming out, and keep them to yourself and do your own inner work. I wouldn't be out there trying to tell anyone. I mean, if you have one person you can trust, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm extending this, I'm offering, to be that one person for you, just because of what I do know and how it all goes. And I don't want to speak about a lot of it, because I don't want those seeds to be planted in your mind. But, when you start learning new things, some things start, coming up that you didn't think would come up. But it's good that they're doing it while you're still when you go through school, versus when you're actually in, your professional, appointment, and you're practicing, and you're dealing with clients, and then it pops up then, that's whenever the really weird stuff happens, because it's people are literally coming to you with, there's an emotion, it's called flooding. And so there's this book called Atlas of the Heart. I highly recommend you read it. But it goes through I think it's 87 different human emotions, and that's just some of them. But flooding is one where someone will come to you and they will unload. And I did it to my twin, but I didn't really know what it was called then. But it was I was kind of already fed up, and my twin was that one person that I could go to, which is now my spouse. But it's still it took a lot of courage for me to have that conversation and do that unloading, the flooding. And I just didn't know who else to go to. But God was that's the one. You can go to that one. Trust that one with everything. and there were some challenges. So, just letting you know that I am a very safe zone person, and um, so yeah, that is really all I have for you. But be careful with your choices and be very conscious of your decisions. And that's for anything you do in life. It's not just because you're choosing to go into the psychology domain, but you know this is all for encouragement, because I know you can do it and I know you will do it, because I don't reach out unless I know there's something there. And whenever that time comes, I know it'll be there, whether it's this semester, next semester, like whenever you want to start, like however, because there are different things you can. I don't know if they offer fast track classes. That was a lot of stuff I did for a lot of my degrees. It was a lot quicker learning and stuff, but it was kind of like, it kind of worked because I like get really bored if I'm on something too long. So that worked for me, but the deadlines are kind of, I mean, if you are out there doing other things, I mean, obviously you can go to the gym and stuff, but I mean, like, if you're out there and you value a social life, it can be a little hard to do fast track classes, but you know your limits. And but I like to believe that no one has, everyone's limitless. We all have that capacity to do that. It's just doing the work, clearing out our energy, clearing out the blocks, and going from that caterpillar to that butterfly. You know what I'm saying? So, but overall, though, I know you're gonna do amazing and great, and I believe in you, and I love you unconditionally, just like anybody else, that I come across. Not selective. I'm like that with everybody, because I've had some crazy, not so nice people, and I still love them unconditionally, so that's all I know how to do, really. I don't like the word hate, so I don't use it, so yeah, like I said, if you want to drop by, and I'm usually there sometime after 12, give me your email or whatever, so we can talk back and forth on that, whatever, just so you have it there, and that communication door is open, for you. But yeah, I'm here for you, and my spouse also likes to help, in the ways that she knows how to help, and with the authority that God's also given her. So just know that there's mainly me, but I also have my support person. So even the younger members in our family have their little solution engineers as well. So that's really, really good. I didn't really talk about a lot of that but it's very sacred, and I try to protect it as much as I can. But yeah, just know that there's when I believe in something or someone, my spouse sees that, and so she knows, and we both do really well at creating really safe spaces for people. So even if there was a client at some point in your journey that it's just kind of like, I don't know, we have our resources to help that as well. So that's really good, and we have a lot of different solutions, we've used for things like this, but for the psych domain, like, we have a lot of difference for each domain, but But yeah, I know it probably sounds like a jumble mess, but I guess I could say this is your reading, um, but not with the cards, because I actually do a lot better without the cards, because it's more personal, and especially when I've set the course, and the individual knows exactly who they are, and I don't do it to um, you know make you think about it and not want to do it. No, I say what I say because I know you can, and I know you will, because God does put a lot in everyone, whether or not they want to believe in God or whatever, but that is, or a higher power. Even if you believe in a higher power, that higher power, there's a lot in there. A lot of times it's a higher version of yourself that'll be trying to tell you some things, and just get in touch with your intuition. And I'm really good at sending signals, and sometimes there are some people that I haven't talked to and had a very more or less conversation with them than I've had with you, and I've picked up on their energy, and it's like they were thinking of me, and it was weird, and I was like, I haven't thought about that person or seen them or talked to them in more than 5 years, and they're just not a part of my daily looking around, seeing people, or anything I'm gonna do social media or whatever. And so things like that happen a lot to me too, where I'm just like, oh, okay, well, what's going on with them? And then something will present itself, and then it's like, oh my gosh, they're going through this. And so I'll just try to speak in some good energy and pray for them and some healing energy to them, and then the thought goes away, and it's like it was all taken care of. So things like that happen. It's the mind has the mind has some amazing capabilities when they're used correctly, and we can really get people out of being stuck in a situation and the mentality of being above a situation. So again, that's very important. But until next time I see you, or whenever you reach out, yeah, this is your reading, and stay blessed, and good luck.